Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. It started like any other quiet night. The house was still, the lights dimmed, and I had just finished a long day at work. I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. But sometimes, life has a way of catching you off guard, especially when it comes to the people closest to you. That night, when I walked past the hallway leading to the guest rooms, something made me stop. It was just a glance, but it was enough to make me question everything I thought I understood about my relationship with her, my stepdaughter. She had moved in a few months ago after her college semester ended. The plan was simple: a few weeks here, some family bonding, and then she'd head off to visit her mom. We had always been cordial, friendly, even, but there was a certain distance, as there often is in blended families. I never pushed her, and she never pried. We kept to ourselves, respected boundaries. Until that night. I remember the sound of her door opening just as I turned the corner. I wasn't trying to see anything, but what she was wearing caught my eye immediately. It wasn't inappropriate exactly, but it wasn't something you'd expect her to wear around someone like me either. It was a simple silk nightgown, short and clinging softly to her frame, elegant and mature in a way I hadn't seen before. For a moment, we both stood there, silent, uncertain. Her eyes met mine, and she didn't flinch. She didn't shy away or try to hide. Instead, she gave a small, knowing smile and said, "Good night," before slowly walking back into her room. I stood there longer than I should have, questions rushing through my mind. Was it innocent? Was it intentional? Had I been too blind to notice a shift in our dynamic before now? That moment sparked a confusion I couldn't shake, a curiosity I couldn't ignore. Something had changed, but I didn't yet understand what, or why. And it wasn't just about what she wore, it was how she carried herself, the unspoken tension that now seemed to fill the air between us. As the story unfolds, we'll dive deeper into the emotions, boundaries, and unexpected twists that arise when people who thought they understood each other suddenly see each other in a different light. What does it mean when a line you never thought would blur suddenly starts to fade? Is it just in your head, or is something real starting to form? What would you do if you were in my place that night? Would you brush it off? Confront it? Or would you quietly wait to see if something more was happening beneath the surface? Let me know in the comments. Would you have reacted the same way? Or differently? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to vote in the poll I've added to hear what others think too. The night didn't end there. In fact, what happened next left me even more confused, and strangely drawn in. But I'll tell you more in the next part. I couldn't sleep that night. Her voice, soft and calm, kept echoing in my head, "Good night." But it wasn't just the words, it was the way she said it. The way she looked at me before disappearing behind her door. I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking, that it was just a moment taken out of context. But my mind kept going back, analyzing every little detail. I had known her since she was a teenager. I had seen her grow, change, evolve, but this was something different. It was the first time I saw her not just as my stepdaughter, but as a woman. The next morning, she was back to her usual self, calm, polite, a little playful. We had breakfast together. She wore a simple t-shirt and shorts, hair tied up, casually scrolling on her phone while sipping her coffee. Nothing about her said that anything was off. But I could feel it. Something had shifted. Or maybe it had always been there and I was just now noticing. She looked up at me mid-bite. "Did you sleep okay?" she asked, eyes holding mine just a second longer than usual. I hesitated. "Yeah. You?" She smiled. "Like a baby." Then she got up to rinse her plate, humming softly to herself as she walked away. That's when I started questioning everything. Was I imagining this? Was she just being friendly? Or was there something behind the way she smiled, the way she moved, the way her energy filled the room in a way that now felt charged? A few days passed, but the atmosphere didn't shift back to normal. If anything, it grew thicker, unspoken tension sitting between us during even the smallest conversations. Every glance felt heavier, every touch of her hand when passing the remote or brushing past me in the hallway felt like it carried meaning. Then came the night she asked if we could watch a movie together. Just the two of us. It was raining outside, and the house felt warmer, quieter. She chose a romantic drama, something slow, emotional. We sat on opposite ends of the couch at first, but over time, she pulled the blanket between us and scooted a little closer. She looked at me during one of the movie's most intimate scenes and whispered, "Do you believe people always know when something's about to change?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. And just like that, the line between what was and what could be got even more blurry. The days that followed felt like I was walking a tightrope. Every interaction with her was laced with a kind of energy I couldn't name. We still acted normal on the surface, casual conversations, shared meals, light teasing, but underneath, something was simmering. And I knew she felt it too. There was a moment when she was helping me sort through some old boxes in the attic, and her hand brushed mine, just for a second, but she didn't move it right away. She looked up at me, eyes searching, like she was trying to figure out what I was thinking. I quickly pulled back, pretending to focus on the box, but my heart was racing. One night, she had friends over, just two girls from her college days. I stayed in my room, gave them space, but I couldn't help overhearing bits of their conversation through the walls. They were talking about relationships, dating, and one of them joked, "You always go for the complicated ones." Her laugh came next, soft but real. "Maybe I like the thrill," she said. That line stuck with me. Was she talking about me? Or someone else? Later that night, after her friends had left, she knocked on my door. She was still in the clothes she wore while hosting, a casual dress, nothing flashy, but the way she leaned against the doorframe felt deliberate. "Did we bother you?" she asked, her voice low. "Not at all," I replied, trying not to let my thoughts show. She stepped inside without asking, looking around my room like it was unfamiliar. "It's funny," she said, "how you live with someone but still don't really know everything about them." I nodded, unsure of where she was going with it. "I mean, do you think we really know each other?" she asked, eyes locked on mine. It was a strange question, especially coming from her. But before I could respond, she changed the subject and said she was heading to bed. The back and forth between us kept pulling me in. Just when I thought I should step back, she'd do or say something that drew me closer. Was this just innocent connection growing stronger? Or was there something deeper, more complicated forming between us? I want to hear what you think. Is she testing boundaries? Or is something unspoken starting to take shape? Drop your predictions in the comments. What do you think she's really feeling? And what should I do next? It had been weeks now, and the atmosphere in the house had shifted in ways that were hard to explain. Everything felt quieter, slower, like we were both waiting for something to happen but afraid to be the one to start it. Each night, I found myself thinking back to the way she looked at me, how her presence lingered in the room even after she'd gone. The distance between us physically remained, but emotionally, it was like we were standing on the edge of something we couldn't name. One night, it was storming hard, thunder rolling over the hills, rain hitting the windows like it was trying to get in. The power flickered off just after dinner, and for a moment, everything went dark. She came into the living room with a few candles, setting them down carefully. Her face lit up in the soft glow, shadows dancing around her eyes. "Kinda romantic, huh?" she said, trying to sound casual, but there was something in her tone that wasn't teasing. I laughed nervously. "Romantic or creepy? Depends on the movie." She sat beside me, closer than usual. We didn't speak for a while, just listened to the rain and the occasional crack of thunder. Then she said it, soft, almost like she wasn't sure she meant to say it out loud. "Have you ever wanted something you knew you shouldn't?" I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. Her question hung in the air like the storm outside, pressing in on both of us. She turned to face me, eyes searching mine. "Because I have," she whispered. "Lately, a lot." I felt my chest tighten. This was it, the moment that had been building between us, quietly, slowly. Every glance, every word, every silence had been leading here. Before I could speak, she reached out, her fingers brushing mine, not by accident this time. It was intentional. Deliberate. And I didn't pull away. But just then, the power snapped back on. Bright light flooded the room, breaking the moment. She blinked and quickly pulled her hand back, standing up like nothing had happened. "I should get some sleep," she said, her voice steady but a little too quick. "Good night." And she was gone, again, leaving me sitting there, heart pounding, not knowing what to make of it all. Was that a confession? Or just a fleeting moment, sparked by the storm? What would have happened if the lights hadn't come back on? Tell me in the comments, what do you think she was about to say? What should I have done? Is this just the beginning of something real, or a line we're both too afraid to cross? The days after that stormy night felt even more uncertain. She acted like nothing had happened, as if the moment on the couch, her words, her touch, none of it had meant anything. But I knew better. It had changed something, at least for me. And maybe for her too, even if she was hiding it well. I kept catching her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. There was something behind her eyes now. A quiet intensity. A question still hanging between us, unanswered. One evening, while she was out meeting a friend, I noticed her phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. At first, I ignored it, but then the name flashing on the screen stopped me cold. Mark, roommate. I hadn't heard her talk about a Mark before. And the message preview made my stomach twist, still thinking about that night. Can we talk when you're free? I didn't open the phone. I couldn't. But the words stuck with me. What night? What had happened? Was there someone else in her life all this time? Had I been reading this entire situation wrong? Or worse, was I just a stand-in for something she couldn't have with whoever Mark was? She came home later, acting normal, chatty, light, as if the candlelight moment had never happened. But something in me had shifted. I started to pull back, unsure if I was just caught in her game. Or if maybe I had been imagining the whole thing. But just as I was trying to create space, she started getting closer again. One night, as we were cleaning up after dinner, she turned to me and said, "You've been distant lately. Did I do something wrong?" Her voice was soft, sincere. I looked at her, debating whether to ask about the message, the guy named Mark, the things she hadn't told me. But then she added, "Because I've been feeling something, and I thought you felt it too." It caught me off guard. She was finally saying it out loud. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed this time. I glanced down. It was a message from my ex-wife, her mother. "We need to talk. It's important." About her. What could that mean? What was she about to reveal? The walls around this situation just got tighter, and now, there's someone else pulling strings in the background. So now I have to ask, what would you do in my place? Should I confront her about the message? Or talk to her mother first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This just got a lot more complicated. I stared at the message from her mother, my ex-wife, feeling the weight of something I couldn't yet name. We need to talk. It's important. About her. Those words echoed in my mind, louder than the silence hanging between me and the girl standing just a few feet away. Her eyes were locked on me, waiting for a response I couldn't give. Not yet. Later that night, after she went to bed, I stepped outside and called my ex. Her voice was calm, but serious. "I didn't know how to bring this up before," she said. "But I think it's time you knew. She's not your stepdaughter biologically. I mean, legally, yes. But she's not mine either. I adopted her when she was very young. Her real parents, they were friends of mine who passed away. I never thought you'd need to know. But the way she talks about you lately, I started getting worried." The world spun under my feet. All the hesitation, the guilt, the second-guessing, it suddenly shifted. It didn't erase everything, but it changed how I saw the last few weeks. She wasn't blood. We hadn't even been part of each other's lives that long. The lines I thought were drawn in stone suddenly felt more like chalk, fading with each step we took. The next morning, I was quiet at breakfast. She noticed. "Something's up," she said, setting her mug down. "Is it me?" I looked at her, really looked at her. "I talked to your mom," I said slowly. "She told me about your past. About your real parents." She went pale. "I thought she'd never tell you. You knew I didn't know?" She nodded. I just didn't want it to change anything. It does, I said. But maybe not in the way you think. The room felt like it was holding its breath. She moved closer, unsure. So what now? She asked. And just as I was about to answer, the doorbell rang. We both looked at each other, confused. I opened the door, and there stood Mark. Only, he wasn't just a friend. He wasn't even just a roommate. I'm her fiancé, he said, stepping forward, his eyes fixed on me. She didn't tell you? My heart stopped. Now it's your turn, what would you do in this moment? Drop your reactions in the comments. Did you see this twist coming? What happens next? Mark's words hung in the air like a punch to the chest. I looked at her, she wasn't shocked. She looked guilty. Like she had been carrying this truth and didn't know how to say it. I was going to tell you, she said softly, not even trying to deny it. I just didn't know how. I stepped back, needing air. You're engaged? I asked, more to understand than accuse. She nodded, eyes filling with tears. It was arranged, before I moved in. I didn't feel anything for him anymore. But I didn't want to hurt him. Then things with you got complicated. Mark looked between us. So it's true then. Something's going on. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The truth was, yes, something had been happening. But now, all of it felt like it had been built on sand. The silence that followed wasn't angry. It was heavy with clarity. Some things aren't meant to be, even if every part of you wanted them to be real. She and Mark went outside to talk, leaving me standing there alone in the hallway. That was the last real conversation we had. A few days later, she moved out, quietly, respectfully. She left a note. I never meant to confuse you. I just got lost in the middle of something I didn't fully understand. I hope someday we both find the kind of love that doesn't come with lines we're scared to cross. And just like that, it ended. Looking back, the connection we shared was real. But timing, truth, and tangled emotions have a way of turning something deep into something dangerous. It taught me how thin the line can be between love, responsibility, and longing. So what do you think? Did she ever really love me? Was I just an escape for her? Would you want a sequel to see where our lives go from here? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if the ending surprised you, and subscribe if you want more stories like this.